Welcome to the Remarketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast that has two purposes. Purpose number one, Yudenia, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. Purpose number two, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. With that, we have special guest Yudenia Guerra. She is the founder of Georgia Premier Investment Management, GPPM. Excels in third-party management, residential and commercial and real estate portfolios. She manages a diverse portfolio of market rate and affordable residential communities, and she serves in a real estate organization that has created a new benchmark, reset industry standards while maintaining integrity, loyalty, and passion. Yudenia loves to promote her core values, SARS, which we'll go into later throughout the podcast. Yudenia is also the founder of a nonprofit organization, Be Light, that encourages youth to choose to be themselves over the industry standards set before them and focuses on internal healing, increasing self-esteem by providing counseling and resources for their success. Of all things, you can choose to be light, be love, be peace. Yudenia has a passion in economic advancement for minorities and currently has a group of high school students dubbed Generation Forex, in which she teaches basics of trading in the stock market. Ms. Guerra is contracted with Gwinnett County Library System, in which she hosts first-time homebuyer courses, where her goal is to simply educate the general public on all of the down payment assistance programs on a national and state and county level. They are taught how to get into these programs and how to qualify for them. In addition to having an extensive background in real estate, she holds a DBA in accounting from Jones International. Yudenia, I'm excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited that you're here. It's been like long overdue. I've been asking you to come for like what, a year at least, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So with that, please tell us your story about how you got into like property management. Take us through the journey. Um,
Uh, okay. All right. So, back when I was about 19 or 20 years old, I feel like all of the things that I've done in my past kind of led me into this moment. First, let me just say, um, I got my start in real estate, and this is a very true story. I got my start in real estate because I was working for some top producers in Florida, in Davenport, Florida. And I was pulling them in about 13 contracts a month, but because I was unlicensed, I could only get paid like a maximum of like $50, right? And one day, I told this top producer, husband and wife team, I said, how can I make more money? I was realizing the amount of money I was making in contracts, and I'm like, oh, I'm only getting $50 and y'all are getting thousands. And he was like, oh, you have to be licensed. And his other assistant, and this was an all Caucasian team, his other assistant tells me, what do you need to get your real estate license for? You don't need to make more money. You can't do it anyway. It's, just basically stop picking my nose in things, and just accept my pay. And so after that, because she literally told me that I could not, and I decided just to get a real estate license only because of that. So when I got my real estate license, I ended up in property management. Like I went from all of the skills that I had learned from them, I ended up in property management and developing the portfolio. So after a while, I was just doing phenomenal. I decided to start my own property management company. And that's what I did. So that's why I'm here. So I am a managing partner in Georgia Premier Property Management. And we're here now in Atlanta since 2018.
nice, thank you. So you said I just started my own property management. Like it was like kind of easy. Can you take us through that? Like, what was that like?
My God. Um, that is, and it's, you know, that was very, it was bringing connections, a lot of thinking. I had to put a lot of policies and procedures in place. I mean, how in depth do you want me to go with that? Because
I want you to give us the story because you said so first tell us why. Like why like because people go and they get their real estate license and they get them for like several reasons. Like I wanted to get my license because I just wanted to like be a better investor. And some people get their license because they actually want to do sales. Some people get their license because they can't tolerate like certain agents. Like why? Well, you told us the reason why, but like why was property management the way to go for you? Like I was thinking about you this morning. I'm like, why do people pick property management? So I want to get your insight on that.
well, one, there's no 2 days alike in property management. It allows you to just get really creative in how it diversifies um, real estate in such a way. I mean, I learned just from being in property management, I learned the investment in on exactly how to acquire property and the things that they're looking for as far as the numbers when it comes to multifamily or why that is an investor exit. So I got to learn the back end of it. Then I got to operate it. And then I got to put the two together and now perfect it into such a way where I feel like I've experienced everything in property management. I don't, there's always a solution. I always have an answer for any, it just allowed me to be super creative in handling a bunch of, just issues that come with it, with your, in operations.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to go into some of the questions that we have here. And the first question, can you tell us a myth about property management? Like what is a common myth that you hear within property management?
Oh, that is easy.
Okay.
That, they're like, okay, well, property management, we are, oh, okay, it's just managing a property, but it's not easy. There's a lot of tenant landlord law, a lot of legal stuff that you have to know to do this so that you can protect the investor and the asset. So it's more educational, a lot of legal. I've done a lot of education, a lot of certifying, and a lot of studying as far as making sure that common things that I get are, oh, owners wanting to turn off the water, and it's like, no, 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 there's a legal way that you have to go about doing that. You can't just turn off the water because your tenant's not paying rent. So making sure that it's just a lot more education. It's not just, oh, I'm going to collect the rent and give somebody the keys. And it's a lot more. There's screening, there's background, there's laws that how you have to check those tenants so that you don't violate fair housing. There's lingo and language all within the ramifications of property management that you have to know how to navigate. Like as far as discrimination, it's a very fine line, and if you don't, the best advice that I give, like to you and other property managers, is that you have to, for what you do for one, you do for all, because if not, then it could possibly or potentially be a violation of fair housing. So there's a lot of education that goes behind it. So it's not
Okay.
easy.
When so I'm going off track a little bit. When like why would somebody like hire you and your services instead of like doing it themselves? And like when is it appropriate for someone to hire you? Because it could be like I like some property management companies, as far as I know, is like we don't deal with clients that have this many units and etc. So can you share your perspective on that?
Oh, well, I am selective with what I work with. There's only a certain level of class or performing properties, because remember, I have to put staff and I have to have maintenance and stuff on site, especially in a multifamily property. So there is a lot of, I can't just say, okay, I'm going to take your property. No, and I have to be able to pinpoint, and when I'm looking at those financials, okay, and come up with a creative solution to see, okay, where can we decrease your expenses and increase your income? Where can we, you know what I mean? It's more than just being choosing a property man, like they need to be able to have a plan and a vision for that property and see where they're the most effective. And a lot of investors don't like to management because obviously they don't have time for all these intricate details. So they go and they hire a third party company to just do it for them, put the property in operations and get them their return, because that's ultimately what it's about. You just need to make sure that you have, when searching, that whoever they add as their third party management, and make sure that they are really, um, you know, ask the question like, what would you do? Like, how do you handle certain scenarios when it comes to managing the property? Okay, what if the numbers, what if there's a huge variance in between what your plumbing is and, the water and whatever other variance there might be. And you have to be able to intricately in detail explain those variances with um, documentation to back it up. Okay, this is why there's a variance in budget, or this is why, or this is what we can do, or these are the resources I have to try to decrease, you know, uh, those, I call them GL codes, but those expenses, you know what I mean? And then also navigate the property in such a way that um, you are creating a harmony within the tenants, right? I actually have a real deal scenario, and I think if there are any investors, they need to pay attention. So in Houston, there was a property, and I actually helped them solve. I don't manage in Houston, but they had put out, this investor had a small 30-unit property, right? And this is what I'm telling you as far as skill when it comes to property management. Um, 30-unit property, all the tenants got together and said, we ain't paying rent. What do you do in a situation like that?
Wow.
Real deal, right?
Uh-huh.
So, via my company Instagram, we reached out and we're like, okay, we have a creative solution for that. You know what I mean? Like, we know exactly how to handle scenarios like that. So you need to be able to think, what if you have a small unit, 15, 20, that they band together and those tenants come against you. And then guess what? That investor was having a cow because he's like, that's all the money I have. And that's everything that I live off of that. You know what I mean? And so being able to get the tenants to, and I'm not going to give away my solution for that. You're going to have to give me a call and we'll talk about it, but I will not put it out there. But there is, and we were able, I gave him such an advice that we were able to come to an agreement mutually between this investor and these tenants who just decided they weren't paying rent. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't anything. They literally had a meeting and they were like, we ain't paying, because until the
Wow.
economy, those tenants said, and I'll send you the article and I'll send you it. But they said, we are not paying until the economy gets better, until things get better, in that area. So it wasn't like people were missing work, and it wasn't like, they were just like, we gonna do this. And so, and I was looking at the whole thread and people were like, oh, turn off all the water. Oh, kick everybody out. Oh, do this. And I'm like, no. There's a way to handle that. So yeah.
Wow, that is so what's funny is like when you talk about it's like, oh my God, tenants are not paying rent. I generally think about, okay, it's a few tenants not paying. And even when you're talking, I'm like, okay, you could deal with that. A couple of tenants not pay the rent, but this is like the opposite. It's like almost like, what do you do when it's like 80%, 80 to 100%? Like, what do you do in scenarios like that? So you provided a solution, you fixed that, and you said, I'm not giving away my secret sauce, which you absolutely don't have to do. One of the things I want to hear is, so you said they need to contact you. How did they get in
They,
contact with you?
you can reach out to me on Instagram, or you can just Google our company, Georgia Premier Property Management,
Okay.
and get an inquiry there, and then someone will get back to you within 24 hours.
What's your
Um,
Instagram that they should be looking for?
Georgia Premier Property Management.
Okay.
And our Facebook too is Georgia Premier Property Management, and our website is www.gapremierpm.com.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And you were about to say something else?
Yeah, I was about to say there was a recommendation there, and I'm sure it was in the defense of the seller, but they were like, well, why don't you get illegal against the person that coordinated this thing. And I'm like, how can you do? You can't go in there and just sue one person for for having brains and thinking of something like that. That, you could probably get a little civil suit, but if they're not paying, what makes you think you're going to recover anything? You're going to put yourself more in the hole. But anyway, so there was a really dope creative solution on that, and he really was. He was like, wow, I didn't think of handling it like that. So, anyways, that's all.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And one of the reasons, like, I like pick on you a little bit. One of the reasons I pick on people, right, healthily is like people have solutions, they have messages that people could like really benefit from.
Mhm.
I could have never imagined a scenario like that. For you to share that story, I think it could help a lot of people. And even the fact that you have these services, uh, we got to get it out there. So I appreciate you sharing that. One
Mhm.
of the questions that I kind of came up with just talking to you is like you got commercial, and then you got residential, and then you got like multifamily. Can you talk about like the differences between each, or like how's that? Share us.
Okay, well, honestly, we manage only multifamily and commercial. I don't really take on. We don't do too much residential, only unless it's a portfolio
And when you
of
say
property.
residential, because right, multifamily can be considered residential too. When you say residential, what do you mean by you don't do residential? You
Single
mean like
family homes. Single
okay,
family is a residential, multi-unit, multifamily, anything over, you know, okay, multi-unit, multifamily. Multi-unit is anything like four doors and down, and then multifamily is anything like 10 and up or 5 and up, however you want to separate it. So that's what I mean. Multifamily, anything over 4 units, and commercial space. Residential, again, I would only manage if it's a portfolio of properties. I'm not taking on, just a single family home. I would prefer not to. Multiple owners, just because it's just a different, um, it would be just I don't want to take on it. It's
yeah.
simple.
So
Just,
so what is your you have you said commercial, right? And some of this stuff is like interchangeable, but then some of it is like it's like legitimate. So commercial could be multifamily, or it could be like something else. So what is commercial?
I, commercial storefronts,
Mhm.
spaces like that. Not, I don't see multifamily being commercial unless it's a mixed use. You know what I mean? Like multifamily is multifamily. Commercial is for like businesses and plazas.
So you do multifamily and you do commercial by your
Yeah.
definitions. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Those are not by my definitions. Those are real estate definitions.
I understand they get flip flop. They get flip
Well,
flop a lot.
I,
So
I yeah, call
yeah.
it.
With
Okay.
that, let's move on to some more questions. Tell us about like the most important lesson you've learned over your property management career.
The most important lesson I've learned, like I explained to you other before, it's really, really deserving, delivering the service. A lot of property managers, they get ghosts, or they're afraid to deal with that irate tenant, or deal with a reoccurring maintenance issue. Can you imagine like someone coming in the office and they're always complaining about, okay, my AC, my AC, my AC, my AC. After a while, you'd be like, oh, here they come, like complaining about the same thing. And then you send your maintenance and it's like nothing's like, and the maintenance is like, nothing's wrong. And then you kind of go have this back and forth thing between the tenant. So I would, in a situation like that, it's really to, obviously there's some kind of issue, some kind of disconnect. So the biggest kind of advice or takeaway concerning property management is to actually deliver the service. I don't even call my managers, and I think this is where you got the investment management confused. Originally, I don't even call my managers property managers. I call them investment managers. That's the difference between me and a lot of other um, management companies. We are investment. My AIM team is the investment manager. Why? Because I want them to, I try to get them into the mindset of understanding that this is not just a physical property that we are managing. There's a life behind this. There are people behind this. And if we don't create a win-win for the tenant and the investor, it can create a disaster. So I'm like always telling them, like, deliver the service, find out what's wrong. Don't just, I tell my staff, don't just take a work order and you see it's a reoccurring and it's a multiple issue in this unit. No, there's something wrong and something that needs to be looked in deeper, because it's going to cause problems in the long run or be more expensive in the long run. So that's kind of it. Just deliver the service.
Okay, thank you. Next question: who has been your most important professional mentor? Tell us about that.
So I have a mentor. His name is Peter Dalal. He is from India. He's an older Indian man. Does a lot of he doesn't like a lot of publication, a lot of attention. He's one of those low key smart guys. And he's been my mentor in real estate and trading, in multifamily for 5 years. He comes from oil in India, lives up in New York, and he's a great guy. So his name is Peter Dalal. His real name is Serbi. But yeah, he's been so instrumental in my life that I can't thank him enough.
Thank you for being transparent and sharing that with us. Next question: what is one thing about your field of expertise that almost no one agrees with you about?
In my field of expertise that no one agrees with me about, following the freaking law, tenant landlord law. They're like, they don't pay rent, throw them out. I don't care. No, we cannot do that. I will not. If you want me to do that, then you need to manage your own property, because I ain't going to get sued for nobody. I'm going to follow and I'm going to do things right, because when you do it right the first time, we don't have to revisit. Then this has nothing to do with what I'm going to say, but when I got it, but it does, right? When I got divorced and I wanted a divorce, right? I went to a pastor and I said, I want a divorce. And she said, did you give it 100% before you before you divorced? And I thought about it honestly. And I was like, I didn't give it 100. I didn't give it 100%. Went back, gave it 100%. She's like, because when you go back this time, and she said, when you go back this time and you give it 100%, when you leave again, you will never have another doubt. You won't have a doubt of whether or not you did the right thing, right? So I went back, gave it 100%, still divorced, but I live in freedom because I know that I did the right thing, because I went back and I gave it 100. So that to me translates in what you just asked. You know what I mean? If you go and you just do it right, then you won't have to revisit, and you will know for sure without a shadow of doubt. So we do things right. We follow the law so that we don't pay more in the end.
Thank you. Next question: tell us your favorite productivity hack for entrepreneurs.
Like productivity hack?
Yeah.
Um, I'm a big list person.
List.
I'm a list person, but honestly, I'm always reprioritizing. Okay. But if you want to take it a step further, it really is mindset. It really is making sure that you feed yourself the right stuff so that productivity can come forth.
Okay. So tell us, let me see, maybe, I don't know. Tell us about an indispensable tool for your field of expertise. Like, what's a tool you like? I absolutely need this. Give me my thing so I can do this. What is that tool?
It
Or
don't
if
have
there's
to.
more than one, tell us what they are.
Um, it would have to be software.
Software.
Yeah,
Is there a specific software, or it's like all
I'm
of them, or?
not promoting any property management software. But yeah, just systems and systems.
So software and systems,
Yeah.
but just like, not gonna give us some more? Like, can we know? Like, what is it? A property management software? Is it a checklist software? Is it a hard
Organization.
fast
It's a
organization?
it's a combination. You know how it goes. It's a combination of checks and balances.
Okay.
It's
So
yeah.
software, y'all, I don't know. She said software. You gotta figure it
But
out
you
yourself.
you, you said according to what I do,
Uh-huh.
right? There is no biggest thing that I need,
You need
and
all of them. You're like, I need all these. They all play a good
there,
part.
yeah, they all play a role. I can't pick and choose. I mean, what is property management?
Okay. I
Tenant
got you.
landlord, there's nothing to relate to that question.
Got you. So we're gonna move on to the personal section or personal questions so we can learn a little more about you. Then we're gonna get
Okay.
to the closing table and then we can like close it out, right? We got 18 minutes. Let's see what we can do. So first personal question that I have for you, what do people misunderstand about you most?
That people, I don't know. I don't, there is nothing to really misunderstand. I'm very transparent. I'm very me. Maybe okay, let's see, misunderstand about me most. They probably think that I'm just this social butterfly and this great networker and I'm just out
I
here
do.
like,
I
and
think
it's
that about you.
right, but that's social media perception. I love to be home. This is my home office. Um, I would prefer more quiet, intimate settings um, with family, and I've had such a paradigm shift that nothing outside of making sure that uh, my inner circle is having peace and everything that they need, and I find so much love and joy and peace in that, and just being present in the lives of my loved ones.
That's beautiful. I think people kind of perceive me similar, like I'm this social whatever because of what I do, but I like to, like you said, this is my home office. I stay in my space and my family is the priority. So we kind of
Yeah.
we see eye to eye on that. Next question, tell us about your biggest failure and tell us what you learned from that experience
Mm, biggest failure.
or one of them.
Hmm. One of them. I failed a lot. Okay, I'm transparent. I failed a lot. I haven't always hit the mark. Um, I don't know. I don't. I don't take. I don't take failure personally. If that makes sense. I literally have programmed my mind to look at my failures and be like, okay, what could I have learned from this? What does this mean? Like, what does this mean that I failed in this area? Or I don't want to say I failed because I don't even like to use that language. But I it's a paradigm shift in that question because I don't I believe even what people like to call failures is just a way. So when you walk and I'm going to elaborate just a little. When you walk in a place of, right, and I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I walk in my own divine right and everything's perfect, right? So when obstacles and things come my way, it's actually to make me stronger, create resilience, create patience, um, learning opportunity in that moment. So yeah, let's say most could say, I wrote three. I'll tell you. Okay, I wrote three recently. I would say in August, I wrote three multi-million-dollar real estate contracts. Right. I only use my real estate license for investors if they need assistance in acquiring the asset. And I usually take little to nothing commission in order to manage the asset. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't bother that too much. But this particular investor was so adamant on me. He came to me for property management and wanted to acquire some more assets. I wrote three multi-million-dollar contracts. I'm talking about 86 million. I'm talking about eight. One was 6 million. Another one was like 27 million, and we didn't get any of them. Okay, most people would call that a failure. failure, oh, and take that so personally. And however, what I saw it as, okay, what are the conditions that created this? And I just don't need to write any more offers under these conditions. And I'm
Okay.
not talking contractual conditions. I'm talking about economic conditions. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yes.
So wrote this, and one could have taken that in real estate very personally, and you know what I mean, like, but no, like, it was okay. The interest rates, okay, I didn't even pay attention. Interest rates were coming up the next month, that affected could affect, the closing, you know what I mean, like, there was so
Yeah.
much more to consider. So it wasn't me, or I wrote a horrible offer or any of that. It was just economic conditions that deals just didn't go through. And I don't know, it just helped me cross more T's, dot more I's. So it's no failure. It's all learning, real deal. It's all just learning and conditioning experiences.
Thank you. Tell me about the three most influential people in your life and how they impacted you.
So naturally, I don't have influential people. Like, I have really good quality. I mean, my circle's quality. Um, when you are in walking in an influential space, you are like, it's all energy. It works. Now, if you want to know, like, people that I've listened to that inspired me, I definitely can give you that. But in my, I'm
Well,
self
I,
inspired.
I
Like, my,
understand. So one of like if somebody asked me that question, I might think about my mom or my dad, or like I never really answered the question myself, or even my kids, and I thought he was going to mention like your grandchild or something. But that's how I was thinking about it, like personal questions. It doesn't. If you don't have three, that's okay. If you don't have, that's all.
oh no, I do it for people I love.
Uh huh.
That's for people that I love. People, it's a vision. It's not a person. It's reasons. It's a situation. I
Got you.
have it. I want to. One of my deepest desires is to freaking pull up on people on bus stops and give them freaking cars. You know what I mean? Why? Because I was that girl years ago at the bus stop, and I just wished I had a car. You know what I mean? So there's no people, it's situations and things that I want to influence and be that change and that light in that moment that drive me. That's
Thank
my
you.
influence.
Thank you. Could you tell us? So these are like value add questions. They're meant to stomp the guest. So let's see if we can stomp you. The first one is, how can someone add immediate value to you or your business?
Um, to me, immediate value is, to me personally, I'll do me first. For me, I simplify things. Like, if you see if you see a need and you see a void, fill it.
Okay.
Right? If you see, I had the most beautiful experience. I'm going to tell you. I was on a podcast with actually, I have a friend I was on a video chat with, and I kept like stretching my back. My back was hurting, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm just uncomfortable. Like, it's my chair. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I need a new chair." And the next day, I get a whole freaking packages, and I have now a little lumbar support, and you know what I mean, a little seat cushion, and those things. So that's how you add value to me. It's like servitude. If you're in a relationship, or you see that person goes to the gym every morning and they make their lunch, okay, step in and make the lunch. You know what I mean? It's meeting the needs, right? So that's for me. And
Acts of
for my
service.
business, right. So um, for my business, referrals are nice. Um, but honestly, I want to help. So with that, like, anything that comes in, or you have a creative a space where you need an um, like an idea. Okay, how do I navigate this within my properties are not doing so well? Like I love to look at stuff like that and just come up with a plan to get, to fix it. So that's
All
about
right,
it.
thank you. So, and just so you know, I'm gonna ask you another question. Is going to be very similar, and we give value all day. That's why I asked the question. Like as entrepreneurs, we're always seeking to give value. So this is like not for you to like try to give. It's more just like how can somebody help you. So answer that question like that. The next one. So the next one is how can someone bring long-term value to your business? Like you're allowed to be selfish. That's why I put it here because nobody ever asks us that. Like I had this guest or I was doing like a thing and I was like, how can someone bring you value? And he was like, nobody ever asked me that, Jerome. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start asking people that. And that's why I incorporated those questions into the podcast. So again, I reiterate, how can someone bring long-term value to you or your business?
Um, Looking at it from an outside, um, non-judgmental kind of friendship place, and being honest and transparent with me and things I need to change or implement. I love when people bring suggestions that I can use to help, help create a smoother process for internally within the business.
Okay.
So those are shoot me articles on, whatever it is that will help me perfect um, what's already going on. That's how you would add value to me. I'm not saying critique and all of that.
The next question, this is the closing table, so that means it's time to close us out. What are three books that you recommend to the audience and why?
Oh, okay. Well, I have one of my favorite reads is a book by Julian Gordon, who's also in the multifamily space, and he wrote a book called Rich and Righteous. Um, I believe that I absolutely love that book because and if you're spiritual and you walk in this place of like where God is the center of everything for you, if that's you, it's a good read because it helps you understand that you can be rich and righteous um, at the same time. Like I being and rich is not just when in that book, rich is not he's not talking about so much as riches, but riches as in quality, in a different way. But he also does talk about being, wealthy and righteous, or rich, literally rich and righteous. So it's a beautiful it's a beautiful read that helps you walk the correct line of, okay, having wealth and also keeping your integrity. So it's a beautiful read. And then the next read, so I read a lot, um, a combination of self development. I feed my spirit with, of course, with the word, and then books that are for the business or to help perfect my craft. So those those are like when you're reading, that's what I would suggest you do. Find one that feeds your mind, feeds your spirit, and one that feeds your business. Um, so that would be the first book, Rich and Righteous by Julian Gordon. The next book that I would recommend would be The One Thing by Gary Keller. I absolutely love that book. That was the start of all of my lackadaisy organization. Was The One Thing by Gary Keller. That is a freaking powerful book to help you get down to, as entrepreneurs, we can start with this huge umbrella and then be so overwhelmed to where even the overwhelming of all that you have to do will bring you to a level of exhaustion so where you just don't want to do shit. Excuse my language. And can I say that on your podcast?
Too late now. It's all good. We had guests say way more.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
So you have this umbrella, and so that book will really help you kind of dissect. um, steps and things in place to help you. Another book that I absolutely love. I love anything by Jim Rohn. Um,
Oh
Seasons.
yeah, favorite ever.
That is my book. Seasons. Definitely helps you with adaptability and then understanding um, why the whys and the whats and the whens of the world, and for you to change your perspective in those shifts. I had a conversation with a very powerful man here in Atlanta, whose mentor is Les Brown. So what was I saying? I was talking to this. I work around a lot of politicians. I had the beautiful opportunity of being a campaign manager um, and it kind of opened up some political doors for me. So I was talking to this very, very prestigious man here in Atlanta, and he was telling me, and this is reflecting seasons. So he was telling me how he goes fishing, and he fishes in between season changes because he catches the biggest fish, and he always he kind of he told me, he was like, nature, he's like, nature does that too. He's like, you do that too. And we got into a conversation of like that's why mood and energy changes with the seasons. And so he was like, nature does the same thing too. So he's like, I always go fishing in between seasons in the change, because it's like a stirring or an energy in the world. And he's like, it causes me to catch more bigger fish. And I listened to him and I was like, wow, his mentor is Les Brown. So, yeah, Seasons is a good
Nice.
book. Hmm?
Thank you. So next question. Let me see. What is one question? I don't think you're gonna give me some resistance
What
on this.
happened?
What's one question you wish I asked you, and how would you have answered? Can you
Say
hear
that
me?
again.
So,
Uh huh.
what's one question you wish I asked you, and how would you have answered?
Oh, I wish you to ask me all the new things that I have going on.
Okay.
Because the bio you have is so dated. That's
Tell
my
me.
fault.
Oh my goodness, it is your fault. So tell us about of all the new things that you have going on. Could you share your favorite?
Okay, my favorite is I do mentor youth, um,
Okay.
and I am gonna do a mini Shark Tank for 11th graders at the high school, and I absolutely love that because they have to do this like graduation, some kind of graduation project where they created businesses, and I was a part of that initial group to do the businesses, to review their businesses and kind of like give them creative ideas on. Then these are fake businesses that they have, but I was really like telling them like, no, you can really do this, so
That's
like,
cute.
so I know. So Thursday at like 10:25 a.m. I'll be at the high school and I'll sit on the panel of the mini Shark Tank for these kids.
That's cute. That is cute.
I know,
Um,
and I love that so much. Yeah.
yeah. More kids need to learn entrepreneurial.
Oh, and then because I did that like last night, I went to I be getting in some. I know some really amazing people here in Atlanta. That's all I'm gonna say. And I went to this birthday party of this developer, uh, black owned bomb. I think she's about to develop like almost 800 units in College Park, if I'm not mistaken, right? Anyway, so she invited me out to her birthday party, and I went, and then I met someone from their county, right? From This is West Atlanta. I'm on East Atlanta, well, not East, right? But they were like, and I was telling them about the Shark Tank that I was going to do Thursday with the kids, and he was like, "Oh, would you want to do one at my school too? For their senior project." So I think I'm gonna just be a little panelist for all these high school, and I got nominated for a TED Talk.
Are you going to do it?
I don't know. I'm not there yet. I got nominated. That's all I said.
Okay. All right. I hope you can do it. I'm gonna try to. So you see
Oh, I can do
my
it.
next guest pop on. Charles. He's the one that I got the contract from for you. So that's who's popping on next.
Thank
I told him to
you.
pop on at
Thank
210. Um, where can listeners find out more about you online?
Oh, you gotta just connect with me on social media.
Social
I don't
media.
have a. I used to have a personal web page, but I don't have that anymore.
Okay.
But no, just like once you start typing Yudenia, I believe I'm just gonna come up because there is hardly anyone with my name. So
Okay.
yeah, just find me, and I'm your friend. I'm your mutual friend on all social media platforms. So just look through Jerome's
Okay.
information.
Can you gonna come back? Coming back, and maybe we can
To
talk about some of
what?
the new projects that you're working on.
Yeah, and we gotta
Okay.
update all that stuff. But yeah, we definitely can. I'm definitely in a new space.
Okay.
And yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. It wasn't so bad, right?
Oh, it wasn't terrible.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I
I,
appreciate you so much, and we'll be in touch. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
I